The entire cast of a Thai high school ends up at a carnival where they're trapped in a tent with a mysterious mime who wants to play a game with them. But as the teens quickly discover, a wrong answer will cost you your life. As the night gets longer, the teens move from game to game, their numbers slowly dwindling until they can understand the true purpose of their involvement in this deadly carnival attraction. And that's the problem. We don't actually find out why they were involved in this deadly game. It's just the typical teen horror movie where they cop out with these ideas of friendship and love and the meaning of life all being the answers to all of the teen angst in this movie. Now, if you were to try to explain this movie to someone else using a few words, as I am going to try to do to you, it would be Squid Game meets escape room with biblical references. All the games that the teens play in this movie are kids games, just like Squid Game. We get charades, we get hide and seek, we get hangman, and a treasure hunt. And they're mixed in with some kind of biblical inspired game on the Last Supper, where it's kind of a calorie consuming contest. The problem with the film is it's both good and it's bad. And there are some clever moments, and there's obviously some slick production behind it being a Thai horror. And I think this is more of a horror light movie. Think of something like Five Nights at Freddy's, rather than your typical bloodthirsty Thai horror like Attack of the Killer Bears. In this case, it's more of a thriller with teen drama type of movie than a horror movie, and I assume that's contributed to the movie's overall low scores on all the aggregate movie review sites. But then there are some downright confusing bits in this movie that really throw the vibe right out. And one of the things that this movie does really badly is time. And let me point out two very clear examples of what I'm talking about here. The first is during a game of hide and seek. Now the surviving teens, are given 6 hours to play this game, and the rough area that they have to hide feels like the equivalent of about 3 or 4 soccer pitches. So it's not exactly small, but it's not exactly big either. So what happens is that we get one group who ends up in a control room for the entire time, and the control room has a window where they're watching a television. So it's clearly, if you walk past the control room, you'll see that those teens are in there. We've got another 2 guys who hide behind, those wooden cardboard cutouts that you poke your head through. They hide with their heads poking out of the cutout for the entire time, rather than hiding behind the cardboard cutout, which would make a lot more sense, and having to keep ridiculously still for that entire time. Then there is this other strange moment where they walk, there's a couple of them in this kind of factory bit, and the time says 1 hour 30. They walk about 50 meters and then discuss that they have 1 hour 22 left. And there's no way that you've walked 50 meters in 8 minutes, not the way that they were walking in the film. So this is what I mean by the weird use of time in the film. But there's another more egregious example, and that happens towards the end, when the teens are split into 2 groups. One group goes off to play the Last Supper calorie gorging game, and they get 30 minutes to do that. So quite a long period of time for an eating contest. The other group goes off to play hangman. Now there's 5 of them in this group, and they're given 10 seconds each to guess a letter. And the word that they have to make is the word sacrifice. And that's pretty obvious when you see it, so it's not really a spoiler. What confuses me here is that all up, when you factor in the ringmaster talking, other little bits like the teens talking throughout each guess, the fact that it only goes about 1.5 rounds until the game is over, that would have been all up 10, 15 minutes max. But the way the movie edits it, it's like it's happening in parallel with the 30-minute eating contest. It just really throws out the sense of time in the movie. And that's the kind of stuff that's really immersion breaking and probably led to the low score of the film. There's also the silly out of place humor, which is very typical for Thai horror films. But there is a nice little dig at veganism. So if you're a vegan and very sensitive to jokes against vegans, maybe avoid this movie. And there's also the fact that every single teen in this movie, male or female, is drop dead gorgeous. Absolutely. But not one of them, according to the cast list, is under the age of 20 years old. So none of them are actually believable as teens. And one of the girls who plays Jenny, she's 34 years old. It's that whole Beverly Hills 90210 thing in Thai horror cinema thing happening right now. Then on top of that, one of the actresses, the main actress, she's not Thai, she's Vietnamese. So in the end, the movie's really all over the place. There are times where it absolutely hooked me in and I was really glued to the screen. And if you can excuse all the typical teen tropes of the teens being smarter than adults, which is one thing that really annoys me, moody teens sacrificing themselves and you know, the quiet, misunderstood pretty girl hooking up with the jock of the movie, then you might enjoy this film. So you've got to forgive all those elements and you'll enjoy this film. The fact that the ending is never explained might really piss off a lot of people, me included, that you've invested 2 hours into this movie and then it gets to the end and they go, oh, we need to find out what the answer was, and then boom, it's the credit roll. Thanks. With that in mind, the movie's not a total loss. So using the patent pending ghost rating, which does stand for Great Horror or Stupid Trash, I give this 2 ghosts. Yes, it's quite generous to give this 2 ghosts, considering its overall rating is about a 1 out of 10. This is the concept of Squid Game, the movie, minus all of the gore that you get in the Squid Game TV series. It's not a particularly good one, but it'll do for now, you know. But it's a good idea. Let's be honest, Squid Game as a movie would be a great idea, but I don't think having a cast of angsty teens is the right way to go about doing it, because Squid Game's already a popular series worldwide. I don't quite think that's the appropriate audience to build a game around, and certainly it limits the violence and gore factor. Anyway, I'm the Artie Dans. You are watching SHOCKMANIA. This is a movie I was really excited about watching, but in the end, it's turned out to be a bit of a fizzle out. But have you seen it? And if you have, what do you think of it in the comments below? Always keen to know what you think. Otherwise, like, subscribe, all that other jazz. This is SHOCKMANIA, and as always, I'll catch you next time.